Hey guys, so a few days ago Apple announced the upcoming iPhone 12 or 12s because there's 4 variations of this phone coming out and 2 of them are available for pre-order today, the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro, and we'll see the Mini and the Pro Max being available in a few weeks. So I'd like to give you my thoughts on these phones, and I'd like to talk about the Google Pixel 4a and the Google Pixel 5 as well. And I'm doing all of this from this makeshift office, so I do apologize. I'm using my webcam, this microphone, I've got bad lighting. I don't have my main office set up yet, so this is what I'm dealing with. Hopefully it's not too bad. So if I jump over to the Google Pixel 5, and I don't want to talk in depth about this phone, but I have looked at some reviews and all the reviews are positive. It's not got the same premium build quality as the iPhone 12, but I would say it's got a nice build. It's got wireless charging, it's waterproof, it's got stock Android, and it's got decent cameras in it. So there are variations between the 4a, the 4a with 5G, and the 5, but they're all nice phones. I would say that they're all nice phones. And one of my main criticisms about the Google Pixel range, well, there's 2 criticisms. One is price, but the other is the naming policy, because the Google Pixel range is just, the naming scheme is just pointlessly confusing. Last year, the Google Pixel came out, the Google Pixel 4, sorry, and you can see that's come down in price. Now, that had the Snapdragon 855, and it came out last October, November, so the 855 Plus was out then, but that was still a 2020 flagship CPU at the first half of the year. That's all good. So then they released the 4A, right? They released the 4A, and that had the 730G, which is a mid-range CPU. But now you've got the 4A with 5G. And you would think that's the same phone, but just with 5G. But it's not. The Pixel 4a with 5G is really just a variation of the Pixel 5. And then if you scroll down, look at the left-hand side here, you can see that they both get 5G. There are some differences here with the Pixel 5 got wireless charging, etc. But if you go down here, you can see they've both got the exact same chipset, the exact same GPU and all that. And it's the same in the cameras. It's really weird that they've named it this way. The 4A with 5G should really be the 5A. That's what I'm trying to say. So just be careful of that when you're buying one of the Pixel phones, that you are buying the one that you want. Make sure you compare all the specifications. So as I was saying, my second criticism, or my first criticism, is price. The Google Pixel range, in my opinion, is, the phones are nice. They're good phones, stock Android and all that. It's all good. But they are overpriced. Now, Google obviously recognize that they're overpriced. Right now, at least here in the UK, they're sweetening the deal with a pair of Bose QC2 headphones. So there's a limited deal right now where you can get a pair of headphones. Now, don't go and buy this phone for the sake of it if you don't need headphones. But if you need headphones, if you are planning on buying headphones, or you know a friend, or you think you can sell these headphones at a decent price, fine. Buy the Pixel 5 or 4a with 5G, because if you take those headphones and say you can sell them for $200, it kind of brings the price of the Pixel 5 down from $600 down to $400, and the 4A with 5G from $500 to $300. And that certainly changes how you view these phones. But once that offer is gone, what you're left with is nice phones, but they're mid-range phones. The Snapdragon 765G is a competent CPU, but it's still a mid-range phone. And what that means is when you're going from a flagship phone to a mid-range phone, you will see a difference in responsiveness and snappiness and perhaps even gaming performance in some games. I think for most people, the average user, that's not going to be a concern, but certainly a faster CPU is beneficial when you're recording and, you're opening a lot of apps. And I'm all for mid-range phones, I really am, but I want mid-range phones at mid-range prices, and these are not mid-range prices. I mean, these phones should really be between $300 and $400, and Google have priced them between $500 and $600. So once that offer disappears, I don't think I can really recommend them unless these phones drop in price by a huge amount, because, I mean, £600 for a mid-range phone. There are phones that will offer very similar performance, or the exact, the same chipset and all that, as the Pixel 5 at nearly half the price. So it's difficult to recommend these phones when they're not in that $300 to $400 mark. They're nice phones, and if you're taking the offer into account with the headphones, I think it does make it a good deal, and I can see why a lot of people would buy them. But really, if you're willing to spend $600 on a Pixel 5, I would recommend ponying up another £100 and getting the iPhone 12 mini. So the new iPhones kind of an evolution from the iPhone 11 in some respects. They've got a new MagSafe technology. It's kind of like a magnet in the back that allows you to do wireless charging at twice the normal rate of wireless charging. And you can see it here, MagSafe. You can put cases and things on the back now. It just snaps into place. Sounds a bit gimmicky, but I think it looks quite good, actually. I think it looks good. But these new iPhones look fantastic. They really do look fantastic, look beautiful. Now, with regards to price, it really does depend on the model that you're getting. It goes all the way from £700 for the iPhone 12 mini, to £800 for the 12, and then it's £1,000 for the 12 Pro, and then £1,100 for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, this is for the base storage. So with the smaller versions, the base storage is 64. So you would have to pay another £50 for the 128 gigabytes. And if you get the 12, you move up the storage there. £800 jumps to £850. So to jump from 864 to 128 is another £50. I think that's the right thing to do, because when you take into account the OS, even if you're storing a lot of things in cloud storage, I don't think 64 will be enough. I think you should go for 128. And it's the same with the iPhone 12 Pro, but the minimum storage for the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max is 128. And then you pay an extra £100 for additional storage there to go to 256. So bear that in mind, but the base prices of these phones are £700, £800, £1,000 and £1,100. So let's look at the phones. They've all got a kind of similar build quality, similar styling, and from a style and build quality point of view, I really do think these phones look fantastic. They really do. And, you know, I do criticize Apple about the pricing, but these phones look stunning. They're charging a premium, but these phones look great. And in a world of polycarbonate plastic phones, these phones are sticking out. They look like they're built to last. And the iPhones last year did scratch easily, but they've got this new thing on the screen to stop it from scratching. How effective that is, I don't know. You can get caught in the marketing crap sometimes. I'm not sure. I'd still be tempted to put a screen protector on, given the price of these phones. Now, style-wise, these phones look great, but they've got OLED displays as well, but the display is not a high refresh rate. So it's not 90 Hz or 120 Hz or anything like that, and you do still have that notch as well. Now, the notch is something that still annoys a lot of people. To me, yes, an all-screen display is better. It is better, and you know, I've got that with this phone. An all-screen display. There's no cameras in the way. There's nothing there because the camera pops up. So I think that's good. And you know, after using it for a while, I do like an all-screen display. But I don't mind a notch when it's there for a purpose. And these notches are there for a purpose. You've got the selfie cameras there, and the selfie cameras on the front are excellent. They're excellent. I mean, even with the 12 mini all the way up to the Pro Max, you can do 4K at 60 frames per second with the front camera, whereas this does 1080p at 30 frames per second. So the front cameras are good, and there's a reason that notch is there. That's why. So they're all 5G phones, and they all have that same A14 Bionic chip. And that is, to me, one of the best things about the Apple iPhone 12 series, is that it doesn't matter if you buy the 12 mini, the 12 Pro, or the 12 Pro Max, you're going to get that A14 Bionic chip. Now, that does raise some questions for me as far as battery life goes, because obviously you're putting that powerful CPU in the mini, which only has a 5.4-inch screen. Battery life is going to be affected. I mean, they say it's only 5 hours less than the Pro Max. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but again, they've went in the opposite direction of Google. Google are charging $600 for the Pixel 5, and they've got a mid-range CPU. They've got their flagship leading CPU, which is faster than any Android CPU in the market right now. And they put it into their 5.4-inch iPhone 12 mini, which is actually smaller than the iPhone SE, which is out, or the iPhone SE 2020, as it's been called. So to me, having such powerful performance in a small form factor is amazing. So there are a few differences between the 12 and the 12 Pro, so I recommend looking at this comparison. But, you know, at the surface, you know, one of the most obvious things is that the 12 and the 12 mini have got a wide and ultra-wide camera sensor on the back, whereas the Pro and the Pro Max have got an additional telephoto. So you've got two cameras in the 12 and the 12 Pro, And then you've got the 3 cameras on the back. So there's the 2 cameras there, but obviously you've got the 3 cameras, the telephoto lens there as well. There are some other slight differences, even between the Pro and the Pro Max. I think the Pro Max has a little bit better zoom, but the kind of minor details, they're not significant, I don't think. So yeah, there's a lot to like here. One thing I will note though is, Apple are geniuses at turning something negative into something positive. And they did that in their whole launch campaign where they talked about their environmental goals. And as part of their environmental goals, what's in the box? Well, as part of our efforts to reach our environmental goals, the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 mini do not include a power adapter or earbuds. Please use your current Apple power adapter and headphones or purchase these accessories separately. I think this is the bit that they should really focus on. Purchase these accessories separately. Now, they've made a big deal about talking about the fact they've been able to make the boxes smaller because they don't have a power adapter and earbuds in it. Use your existing one. And I think there is a good argument for that. I'm all for environmental goals. But let's be honest here, it's not like they've dropped the price of these phones by £50 to reflect, the lack of a power adapter or earbuds. They've taken 2 accessories out, and 2 accessories which they will happily charge you extra for. And they will make a lot more money from selling accessories by not putting them in the box. So very stingy, in my opinion. And you could talk about environmental goals all day, but until you've got a replaceable battery in your phone, don't talk to me about environmental goals. So yeah, I think that's more of a marketing, trying to get more money from the customer point of view. I think that's more what it's about than environmental goals. I really do think it is. So you can see the MagSafe there on the back. Okay, so I haven't talked about all features. I've kind of skimmed past a lot of features. I'm just kind of talking about pricing, but I want to quickly summarize my thoughts on all of this. I think the Google Pixel phones are nice phones. They are nice phones. They look good. Battery life isn't always as good as what they tell you, and the video recording capabilities of Pixel phones are something that, the photos are always great, but the video capabilities are a little bit underwhelming in comparison to other phones. But my biggest issue with the Pixel phones is not the Pixel phones, it's the price of those Pixel phones. I don't mind a mid-range phone, that's fine, but they are charging a lot of money for them. And I really do think that if you're paying $600 for a Pixel 5, spend an extra $100 and get the iPhone 12 mini. And, with regards to the iPhone 12 in general, they're great looking phones. The build quality is excellent. I mean, it was the same last year with the iPhone 11. They've improved the CPU. They've added 5G. They've not added a high refresh rate display, which, I'll be honest, it's not something that bothers me too much. I know it does bother a lot of other people, but the lack of a high refresh rate is something that other Android companies will obviously point out. But to me, it's not a deal breaker. And the MagSafe option and all that, I think, it's gimmicky in some respects, but in other ways it's actually quite practical because you can get 15-watt charging via the magnet. So that's all good. But I think for me, the biggest thing this year is this inclusion of the 5.4-inch iPhone 12 mini. This is the SE phone that I wanted. When the iPhone SE came out earlier this year, I was a little bit underwhelmed because of the selfie camera and a few other aspects of it were quite poor, despite the fact that it had a good CPU. But this year, they've got this 5.4-inch iPhone 12 mini, and yes, it's expensive. I mean, £700 for a phone is expensive, but at least when you're spending that money with this phone, you are getting good build quality and you are getting super fast performance. And if you look at the price of Samsung phones now, you look at the price of OnePlus phones now, I think the iPhone 12 mini is certainly one of the most competitively priced phones. I think that's going to grab a lot of attention. And that's probably the one that I'm leaning towards just now. I mean, I have to review them all. I don't know. I'm still swaying between the phones right now, if I'm honest, but I do love the idea of this 12 mini. So let me know what you think about it, guys. I think Apple have done a good job here, but I do think they've been very stingy with the accessories. And I do think in general, if you're looking for a bargain, Apple is not where you should be looking. You really should not be looking at an iPhone if you're looking for a bargain. Obviously, my needs are a little bit different because I do YouTube. That's why I keep talking about the selfie camera. But I think the iPhones this year look great, and I think they've done a good job. They've not, they've still got the notch. They've not got the high refresh rate, but the fact they've released such a powerful CPU in such a small phone, to me, is groundbreaking. I would say there's no other phone company doing that right now. So let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you think about the Google Pixel 4a, the Google Pixel 5, the iPhone 12 mini, the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Pro, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. The Pro and the iPhone 12 are available for pre-order today, so you'll see a lot of deals for them, a lot of contracts being offered. Have a look at them, but you'll have to wait a few weeks for the Mini and the Max to be available. So thanks for watching, guys. I know I've not been doing a lot of videos recently, so I hope you're all doing really well. And as always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you all. Take care.